Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Stay in the know with Kaieteur Radio. Join us daily, Monday to Friday at 13 hours 30 for COVID-19 and Elections Watch with senior journalist Leonard Gildarie and Dr. Yog Mahadeo. Join us as they keep you updated on the latest news on elections 2020 and the COVID-19. COVID-19 and Elections Watch only on Kaieteur Radio. Kaieteur Radio, the radio with a difference.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Hours 58 in Guyana and right across the Eastern Caribbean. You're listening to us right here on Kaieteur Radio. This is your Tuesday edition of the COVID-19 and Elections Watch. We do apologize for the late start. Like we mentioned to you before, we were having some internet difficulties here. We were able to get something up and running, so hence we could start the program. Once again, the management apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused, but nevertheless, we continue with your Tuesday edition of the COVID-19 and Elections Watch. Joining us for today's discussion is Dr. Yog Mahadeo and senior journalist of Kaieteur News, Leonard Gildarie. Gentlemen, good afternoon to you, and I do apologize for the late start.
Thank you very much, dear Joshua, and right across this beautiful land of ours, I want to say good day to our good people. And if you're joining us from overseas, a good day to you too. And wherever you are coming in from, whether it's Europe or whether it's North America, in the Caribbean, right here in South America, our neighbors, and of course, all across on these banks. And Yog, I want to say good afternoon to you, my brother. It is a beautiful day. We've started this day with a bang. All our internet here in Charleston, and we understand two major media houses were hit as Guyana Telephone and Telegraph Company, GT&T, decided to do a maintenance this morning. As of now, we don't have any internet at our area. Starbuck News is reporting the same. It's a coincidence, we don't know, but we are without internet, and at this moment we have a temporary fix here that we're hoping that is going to bring us through until GT&T fix whatever it is that they're doing. So I want to say a good day to you, Yog, and let's get right down into it. Today, June the 16th, is when GECOM is mandated based on the order to ensure that there's a declaration. As we are speaking now, I understand there's a break. They're going to meet again at 3:30 to continue the deliberations on the report by Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield. And we don't have any idea at this moment, Yog, whether there's going to be a declaration. At the end of the day, there's very little word coming out from the Guyana Elections Commission Secretariat there in Kingston. Our reporters are there. They're saying there's a break and the meeting has been adjourned. It started this morning. We have no idea whether it was a very smooth meeting. I'm not sure what you're hearing there, but based on what we know here, it's going to reconvene at 3:30. So over to you, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. In the meantime, across in Berbice, and so we understand that you're not getting us. That's because we're using a limited signal from a temporary internet fix that we have here. We want to apologize for that, but we're going to replay this program here maybe this evening after 9. So our apologies, but over to you, Yog. Many people have been calling us, wanting to know what is happening with elections 2020. Let's get right down in the thick of things.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Leonard Gildarie. Good afternoon to Joshua and the Kaieteur radio team. And of course, good afternoon to our viewers and listeners. It has been a little bit of an unsettling day, I must admit, in terms of not getting the kind of information we want coming out of GECOM. One would remember that it's 106 days now. And, we have been getting bits and pieces of information, nothing of substance to tell us whether what is the deliberations about, whether they have considered Mr. Lowenfield's reports, and what is the next step. As you rightly say, all we are told is the meeting is adjourned to 3:30 this afternoon. Leonard, I want to say, I want to share with our viewers and listeners that, look, while we have all waited 106 days, regardless of which side of the political divide we're on, while we have waited 106 days for these elections to be declared, there may be a likelihood, given the lack of specificities within the order, there may be a likelihood that that decision may not be made today. We did hear Commissioner Vincent Alexander yesterday intimating that a decision, he used the word, what was the word he used, Leonard? He used the word, not declaration, but a pronouncement, sorry.
Yes.
He used the word, a pronouncement will be made later this week. And so that kind of tells us that it may not be an overnight or it may not be a today thing. So with saying that, though, I want to ensure that we appeal to everyone. We have been patient. We have been so patient for 106 days. Waiting another day or two is not going to cost us anything. We have to be reticent. We have to be vigilant, yet we have to allow the process to go the way it has to go. And a lot of pressure. Madam Justice retired Claudette Singh, a lot of pressure is obviously on her shoulders because 3 commissioners backing APNO AFC, 3 commissioners backing the PPP. So obviously it comes down to one person making a decision in that room. Whether it's today or tomorrow, we don't know, but certainly it's, the time is very, very near.
Yes, absolutely, Yog. And so it is a position that nobody would want to be in at this moment at such a sensitive time in Guyana. And so let's get down to it. What happens today if there's no pronouncement, whether there's no declarations? What happened to that deadline of June the 16th?
Well, this is what I said. The order has not been specific with regards to June 16th. If you check the order, you're not going to see June 16th listed there specifically saying June 16th. What you will see in the order is that the commission has 3 days within which it will make a declaration. Now, the 3 days starts from where? We all know that Lowenfield prepared his preliminary report and would have submitted that to the chairman. Does it mean the 3 days start there? No, we have to remember that Lowenfield's preliminary report will have to be reviewed by the commission, and the commission will have to then instruct him to prepare a final report in compliance with the relevant sections of the law. Remember, his final report will be the one that will say who's getting how many seats and things like that. So the preliminary report is just that. It's a preliminary report. I think we all may have gotten caught up that, okay, he presented his report 2 days ago, which means on June 13th, which means 3 days after is June 16th. Now, we may all be pleasantly surprised by the end of today. We don't know. But that's the whole point. We don't know. But Leonard, to answer your question, there is no listing of June 16th there. It was that we, the people of Guyana, took 3 days and added it to 13th, and that's how the 16th has been floated.
Absolutely, dear Dr. Yog Mahadeo, and we continue to tell you that we are using a temporary fix on our internet. And so if you're getting us a little delayed, a little buffered, we apologize for that. We are waiting GT&T to reconnect, and it has been a problem in the last couple of weeks. They started to do a maintenance this morning, and they said they would have sent out a notice on their website. Two media houses, Kaieteur News as well as Starbuck News, have been thrown off the air or off the networks because of that. But let me tell you, Yog, there was a statement when it comes to elections 2020 this morning from Carter Center, and they're welcoming the CARICOM report on credible recount process. I'm not sure if you have taken a look at it. It's come out of Atlanta, Georgia. The Carter Center commends the Guyana Elections Commission on the completion of the recount process and welcomes the CARICOM report, which indicates that despite the minor flaws in the process, the recount results are acceptable and provide a basis for a declaration of the results from March the 2nd. This is echoing what the OS and in essence what the CARICOM would have said. Although the center is disappointed that it was not allowed to return to Guyana to directly observe the recount, it is encouraged by CARICOM's largely positive report on the recount process. The Carter Center has previously stated that while electoral preparations and voting and counting procedures met international standards, the March tabulation process for Region 4 generated results that were deemed by the Center and other international and domestic observers as not credible. Going forward, the Carter Center calls on all Guyanese to prioritize efforts to strengthen Guyana's democratic institutions and advance constitutional reforms to move beyond the winner-takes-all system, full stop. And that is coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. Yog, this is a reflection, or it's basically a mirror of what would have happened. Those statements and reports issued by the OS and then CARICOM respectively yesterday. And if you go to Kaieteur News, today's newspaper, which is June the 16th, GECOM continues deliberations today. And you go to the main headline, elections were credible, results can be declared, and this is coming from the CARICOM report, a very challenging report, a very straightforward report that made no bones about what transpired during the recount process. It says that the report, the report has rejected public efforts to discredit the polls. Elections credible up to the disastrous Region 4 tabulation, which is something that we knew that elections is, according to everybody, including the observers, would have gone pretty smoothly. Coalition give absolutely no evidence of claims. There was a creation of a false narrative that elections were not credible. The report of CARICOM to Yog was very critical of the APNO FC agents' behavior, and they deemed this as unacceptable. And then there was that report, the statement from OS, which is even more telling. It says the PPP is one. It says prepare. It told the administration to prepare for a transition. And then, of course, there's a front page comment here by Kaieteur News. The will of the people must be respected. It's in keeping with what others would have been saying in the last couple of weeks. You seem to get an impression as the ultimate day, penultimate day, or maybe hours before what we were expecting to be to bring closure to this entire event. More than 100, it's 106 days, I think it is, Yog, since March 2nd elections, and Guyana has been at the edge of the seats, waiting for closure, waiting to get on to the next, to the formation of a government, to swearing in of a president, so that Guyana could start looking at other issues. Why is this very important? We are looking at COVID-19, which is another part of our show. Our attention has been taken up with the developments with elections. But Yog, the U.S. is reporting today that the cases are rising in some states. We even have to look across to Brazil here, which the figures are worrying. I think they have more than 200 cases here, 200,000 cases almost in America. And deaths, I have to check back the figures, but forgive me if I got it a little wrong there. But it is expected that that figure could probably before September rise to 300,000. I think there are projections based on some models that has been worked out by the scientists across there. So Yog, it is some very serious times here. We have to continuously analyze what is happening here today. This morning, of course, we, in passing, because I think the ERC, we have to mention it here, there was a protest in front of one of, I think, a social media person, Guyanese critic. That's because of statements. I think the ERC is investigating him now. I think there was some media people in front of his house. We just have to mention that, because at this point in time, we want to call on all to remain very sensitive to the situation in Guyana. We know that everybody is viewing, is looking on with anticipation for an early closure to this entire fiasco of elections 2020. They want to get it over with. People are tired, they've been beaten almost into submission by day in, day out. The change in narrative, sometimes outright lies by some political elements. Very, very clear that we would have been able, as a newspaper, and even within our own armchair as citizens of this country, been able to decipher the truth from the lies, separate the goat from the sheep. So that, in essence, is what has been transpiring. In the meantime, it looks as if both sides, the People's Progressive Party, have been saying that they are preparing for the swearing-in of their president, or the president of Guyana. This is Irfan Ali, Dr. Irfan Ali, because they have seen that the recount is shown very clearly, and the OS is saying this, as well as CARICOM and others, Kaieteur and everybody is saying this very clearly, that the PPP has taken the presidency. However, the APNU AFC coalition, the incumbent coalition, is sticking by the guns and saying that something is wrong, something went wrong on elections. The evidence has not supported this, the opposition say. But I want to bring you back to that so we could put it in perspective. What is at stake here, Yog?
Yeah, but Leonard, just before we talk about elections, there are some other, as you rightly pointed out, there are some very important things. I just want to share this with our viewers and listeners. Number one, we have some severe internet problems at the studio, and so please pardon us. Mr. Gildarie mentioned it at the top of the show. Please pardon us for the patchy sounds you might be getting, but know that we are live and we are hoping that things would come up better. Number two, Leonard, today is World Sea Turtle Day. Today is World Sea Turtle Day. And, I just want to remind everybody that today, whether people know or not, please be aware that 8 million tons of plastic has so far been dumped into our oceans. Every year we dump about 8 million tons of plastic into our oceans. And obviously this is now threatening the very continuation of some of the species, the sea turtles being one. How can we help? We can all help. We can all help by being very responsible with what we are dumping in the waterways. Ensure you don't dump plastics out there. There's a way to dispose of plastics, and I'm sure the environmental people can help us with that. But ladies and gentlemen, spare a thought for the turtles that are, 6 of the 7 species of marine turtles are already threatened with extinction, Leonard. 6 of the 7 species are already threatened with extinction.
And the lesson there, Yog, is very, very clear. Let us not, the world has not stopped. The world is moving on. People are living their lives, whether we like it or not. And we have to pay attention to the little things that matters, our management of our garbage, our waste, what we do with our waste, how we treat our environment. We go to places, we go to North America, we go to all over the place. So I want to break in here, Yog. I've just been handed breaking news here by our reporters. Government-nominated commissioners propose new elections. Government-nominated commissioners propose new elections. And this is coming from the coalition commissioners. This would be Desmond Trotman, Vincent Alexander, and Mr. Corbyn. government-nominated commissioners of the Guyana Election Commission today at a second meeting proposed for the Elections Commission to annul the March 2nd elections and pave the way for a new one to ensure that no new electors disenfranchised. Following the adjournment of the meeting, opposition commissioner says government has declined to comment once again. However, Commissioner Vincent Alexander stated that consideration was given to the observation reports which were accumulated at the end of the national recount. Additionally, he said both sides of the six-member commission made submissions to the GECOM chair, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, on why the OIR's observation reports should be considered. Our contention was that 1, the people should not be disenfranchised, and 2, the true value of our voters' vote should be taken into consideration. And if that is to occur, given the level of the people who died purportedly voted, the number of immigrants who voted, that would impact negatively the true results, Alexander said. The conclusion, Alexander said, was to have a new election to ensure that every Guyanese is properly enfranchised and that the result is a reflection of the true and collective will of the people. And it is now that result cannot be a reflection of the irregularities. The chairman, according to him, asked for time to consider both submissions, and the commission will meet again at 3:30 to make a pronouncement at that proposal. And so there you have it. So there was a proposal by 3 commissioners from the government, from the coalition side, the incumbent coalition, and they said new elections, fresh elections, because they believe that some people are going to be, if they go ahead with this declaration, disenfranchised. Yog, your thoughts?
Well, we predicted this yesterday. Remember in our show yesterday, you did ask, and we predicted that the government commissioners are going to recommend that their declaration be made into a pronouncement, and that pronouncement is that the elections should be annulled. Remember, Leonard, that it is the same Mr. Alexander who said in room 592, you can only annul something that has been declared. You remember that statement?
Mm-hmm.
So what's happened to that statement? I mean, Mr. Alexander himself had said that you can only annul something that would have been declared. And so this is now, but it's unsurprising. It's unsurprising. We knew that the government commissioners were going to take an APNU position of saying they want fresh elections. We have seen Kemra Dramjatan, Moses Nagamutu, David Granger, Joe Harmon, all of them have come to say one thing. They want fresh elections. Now, mind you, Leonard, they want fresh elections from a perspective of which they claim they won. They're not releasing their SOPs because they believe the SOPs show they won. They're not doing it because they believe, but yet they want fresh elections from something that they believe they won. I mean, it's mind-boggling sometimes, but how else can you argue with something like this?
Absolutely, dear Dr. Yog Mahadeo, Elections COVID-19 Watch. If you're now joining us, you could get us on 99.1. 99.5 is down because we have internet issues with GT&T up in Berbice there. And our apologies if, like Dr. Yog Mahadeo said, if you're getting us a little patchy, it is because we have a temporary fix. It is so important that we bring you these updates that we could not stay away and just cancel this entire show. So Yog, to come back to what you would have said there, this proposal by the government-nominated commissioners, the coalition commissioners, if you want to call them that, it is not totally unexpected that it was always projected what their intentions were to head towards fresh elections, new elections. So where do we go from here? This obviously would have to be approved by the commission itself. This means 6 commissioners as well as the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, and they're supposed to meet back. It's been adjourned, and they're supposed to reconvene. The meeting is taking place at the GECOM Secretariat there in Kingston. They're supposed to be reconvening at 3:30, and from there we're going to know the way forward. But I want to ask you, Yog, Does GECOM has the authority to make any decision like this?
Sorry, Leonard. That is the big question. A lot of the legal persons you and I spoke to, both on air and off air, they have all insisted that GECOM does not have the option of not making a declaration. GECOM has to make a declaration. Look, you remember we spoke to Owen Arthur, we spoke to various persons, we spoke to Sir Ron Sanders, and everybody has expressed an opinion that GECOM will have to make a declaration. The other thing that we need to remember, the CARICOM Observer Report has said explicitly that these elections were credible and that a declaration, it could be used for a declaration. So GECOM does not have the option. The chairman does not have the option of nullifying these elections. Look, Leonard, I want to say it as plainly as I can. The attempts to nullify these elections are merely blatant attempts to stay in power. That's what it is. Nothing else. People have to remember there were a lot of allegations made for fraud. All of a sudden, allegations are evidence and allegations is proof. So a case for fraud has not been made out. A case that there may be allegations has been made out, and that is in the domain exclusively of the court. So this here is a blatant attempt to stay in power, because now, look, the other thing I want to point out quickly, what happened a year ago? You know, GECOM basically went right up to the CCJ and said, we cannot be ready for an election. God knows how long they will take to be ready for another election. Are you saying you want to stay in power till thy kingdom come? Because obviously GECOM is not going to be ready for another elections anytime soon. And this is like as if you want to demand ransom. You're holding somebody to ransom and you say you have to do this or else so and so. So it's incomprehensible that some of these learned persons would want to say GECOM can annul an elections. In my own humble view, and I think in the view of many of the educated legal luminaries we spoke to, it is not an option.
Well, there is an agreement which led to an order for a recount to happen, and I presume by the very virtue of that agreement and that order, there was supposed to be a commitment to adhere to the orders. Now you have let's move forward. Carter Center, the Organization of American States, OAS, the CARICOM, the ABC and EU country, local observers, and even the political stakeholders who would have been there. You have all the opposition elements, representatives that were there. They have seen something, and all of them seem in conformity with each other. How do you believe this would be at the back of the mind of the GECOM chair when she is given the very hard task of ensuring that she pilots this thing forward?
Well, that's the thing. And the GECOM chair knows, regardless of what Mr. Alexander says, regardless of what breaking news you just read and we just shared, at the end of the day, it has to come to a vote. So the three APNU-backed or APNU-nominated commissioners will make a position. Yesterday, you and I called it, didn't we? We predicted that the three APNU PNC commissioners are going to go in there and they're going to move a motion to ask the commission to adopt Lowenfield's report as is. We predicted that. So that has happened. That's no surprise. But it has to be put to a vote. Ultimately, the chairman will have to call for a vote. And obviously, the three of them already signaled to the public how they're voting. So which means the other three is going to vote against it. And it comes down back to, unfortunately, it comes down back to the chairman.
Yes, thank you. And I'm looking, Yog, at some of the comments of our listeners here. Tired and drained, despondent. You know, Yog, this thing has really taken a toll on the people of Guyana. This dragging out. the statement, the changing of the narrative, the twist. It is something that Guyanese people would have to live with for a very long time. I heard some comments from somebody, and you keep hearing these comments all the time, that when this thing finishes, I got to get some counseling, boy. And I think there is going to be a lot of traumatized people at the end of this ending of this elections process here that we've seen. And I'm not sure how we're going to be dealing with it. On top of that, COVID-19 has piled worries into the people of Guyana, into the very psyche and everything. I'm not sure how much more of this that we can take. Day in, day out, you and I have been here trying to encourage the people, trying to say, look, this is what is happening. But even you and I, it's taken a toll on us because we want to know what's the next step, what's the next twist, what is coming up, what are we going to see today. These are the things that is going through the minds. Everybody calling you and asking you, Yog, what is happening there? Do you have any idea what's happening today? We have absolutely very little idea. We can make some projections based on what we're hearing. Like we could tell you that it was not totally unexpected that the coalition commissioners are going to table a motion that is likely to come down to a vote for the annulment of the entire elections. They're going to say that thousands are going to be disenfranchised because of what transpired. The problem that you have with that everybody is saying that nothing really happened. Local observers, international observers, Carter Center, OS. So you have it going on and on and on there. Yog, as we sit here, so we could, I think we could say that the day is open up right now, that we should not close it for a declarations.
Certainly not. We should not close the door and our minds that there is potential for declaration. In fact, I think that on at 3:30 thereafter, we are going to hear something to know exactly what's going to happen. The country is on watch. I mean, now you basically have a declaration watch that has started. Our elections watch is now turned into a declarations watch. It for 30 odd days it was a recount watch. But Leonard, to your question as to it's stretching people to the limit. I just want to say this. We must not allow ourselves to get frustrated. I know how frustrated it's been. We can all be depressed, but we must not allow ourselves to be depressed. And in saying that, we must not allow ourselves to be depressed to the position where we are making statements which we cannot pull back, where we are making statements that are not good for cohesion and for unity in this country. We all have to ensure we walk that straight and narrow path and be responsible of what we are thinking and what we are saying. This country is a country of many, many peoples, is a country that belongs to us all. And you know what, Leonard, the truth is, I hate to sound like a preacher at this stage, but the truth is we're all dead in a couple of years or whatever time God has remaining for us. It's our children that will have to inherit whatever we do, good or bad now.
Absolutely, Yog, and I think we have to continue praying for this country, whether we like it or not. There is, I think this has been a lesson to the people of Guyana. We only have each other to really hold on to hold our hands, to really love each other as countrymen, countrywomen. We have to learn the lessons from elections 2020, COVID-19. If it doesn't get us together, if these circumstances does not bring us together, nothing will ever will. And the fact is, while we're paying attention here, we're not paying attention to what has happened to our natural resources like oil. We've been saying this over and over. We could be so very rich. Each one of us could be driving probably a Mercedes, as I think Glenn would say. But the fact is, we have to start paying attention to what matters to us, and we've allowed ourselves to be sucked into something that a few men, a few women would have been controlling us, jerking our puppet strings around. I think, Yog, you and I have spoken enough. I think we should be heading to some calls now. Let the people speak. You agree?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, I agree. Yes. And while you're getting there, Leonard, let me just share this with our viewers and listeners. Today, 72 years ago today, ladies and gentlemen, 72 years ago today, 5 persons were shot and killed at Enmore by the colonial masters. This is way before our independence. 5 persons were shot and killed in Enmore. Many others were wounded, some critically wounded, but they survived. But today, ladies and gentlemen, is Enmore Martyrs Day. And, at the end of whatever kind of, commemoration we have of our martyrs, one must remember that our, grandparents and forefathers and them all, they struggled for a better Guyana for us all. And so we got to ensure that we all can live in this country of ours. But Leonard, certainly salutations to the memory of the Enmore martyrs.
Well, the fact is, Yog, I grew up in Enmore. It's a beautiful place. There was a sugar estate that was next door, and I wrote about it so many times. When the well broke down, everybody went to the sideline dam. When the cane was born in, you went and you could walk on the road and actually break a piece of cane. Every 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, you could hear the siren going off, and it was I think everybody windows were being thrown open around the same time. You could hear the falcock crowing. So there's a different thing there, and looking back there, there's a monument right in Enmore for those 5 men. And it is something that happens every year. It's so unfortunate that at this point in time that our attention could not be on remembering. Like it's become a tradition now. Every single year we do that, like Labor Day. But these are things that we have not been paying attention to. So we head straight into the lines. It's 226-7453, 226-7453. And of course, you want to WhatsApp us. It's 6222222. And so I think there's a caller already on the line. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right, I got one question, right? We spent $8 billion to do this whole election, right? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Whole election.
Yes.
And if GECOM want to hold back a fresh election, GECOM hold an election and they cannot hold a credible election. Who's going to hold a credible election?
Very good question.
Or APNU. Who gonna put? I don't know really that I'm doing,
Okay, that's
people just wasting Guyanese tax money. That's what I'm doing all the time.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, sir. Yog, good question from the gentleman. Who's going to hold the election? Well, it's Guyana Elections Commission that holds the election. I think we really want to ask who's going to be in power in the meantime.
Correct. And that is the bottom line. I mean, this call for fresh elections, I have said it and I repeat, it's just one other attempt at staying in power. And when you stay in power, we saw what happened from 2018 to now. How can we trust you? Having lost a no confidence motion, refusing to give up. Having lost a no confidence motion, you refuse to give up. You went to CCJ for them to tell you 33 is more than 32. We have been through this. We have headed into being led by this current government. We have been led into one constitutional nightmare after the other. Now, the same APNU AFC's commissioners wants to push us into another constitutional nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pathetic. And it's almost like as if the last grasp for something. It's mind-boggling. I mean, it's frustrating.
Well, let's see what happens $8 billion later. Let's see what happens because
the latest figure I understand is the latest figure is that the $8 billion is not even half of the amount. It's much more than that at the end of it, because you have to remember the recount for the $8 billion was of the elections day and the declarations thereafter. So that $8 billion might have contemplated maybe up to the March 4th or March 5th. From then to now, certainly much more money would have been spent.
Well, the Auditor General got his work cut out for him, Mr. Deodat Sharma. A good day to you, sir. So there's another caller in line. Good afternoon, caller. You're here.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
If they got a new election who are going to run this new election? The same people that do a bogus one?
But you contemplating a fresh election. We're not contemplating.
No,
There is a proposal. I know.
I don't know they can't go next year. The Madam Chairman will do the right thing, because if she do something wrong, this country will look on sheep, like how they look on people running with cutlass. And when you say separate the goat from the sheep, that was a very good thing that you said, right? We have to separate the goat from the sheep. And I really want the lady to do the best that she could do, because everybody see, all over in this whole world see, it's a credible recount. And why you want to go to next year? Why these three other guys there, they're saying about that, and so here what you want to do? As though Yog was saying, we must come together, file a petition, and get some names, and let these people go to court. These people can't hold this country at ransom. You know what really going on in this country? I just ride around the bicycle, and I ask people if people has come around to give them some food stuff. You know, the people said they'd never see nobody come around.
Wow.
Mahadeo, I get something from you. You know I had to take the thing and give it away. I must thank you. I had to take it and give it to other people, because the man have 5 children and he have TV, and nobody never come by the man to give him a cent or anything. You could imagine what's going on in this country here. And these fools want to run that country. How they going to run this country? What they going to run it with? The sea water, they're going to take a run inside in Guyana, eh? Yeah, I'll take care about it. We really going through a hard time with these people. And we don't want to see them there anymore. They got to get out from there.
All right, thank you very much, caller. And thank you very much for getting through to us. So if you're joining us now, elections COVID-19 watch here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. That's because GT&T's internet connection to our office here has been down. They started coincidentally this morning very early some maintenance work, and as of now, very importantly, our internet remains down. We have a temporary fix, does not have the full capabilities. We understand that Stabrook is down, so forgive us for little technical issues you may have. We're going to be back full blast this evening with you, but as of now, our lines are open 226-7453. As of now, if you're now joining us also, GECOM would have met this morning. There is a proposal before GECOM to have new elections. GECOM, the commissioners have taken a break. They are going to meet again by 3:30 in the next less than an hour from now to make a decision on that as to whether they would take that motion. I presume, Yog, do we know whether it's a motion at this point in time?
Well, it would have to be. It would have to be tabled as that. That's how they normally do it. And then, the chairman would have to make that casting decision after having put it over. It'll have to come to a vote. And for a vote to happen, you have to have it as a motion to the table. I must say this. I must remind everyone of this. It is no less than Mr. David Granger who said that CARICOM was the only legitimate interlocutor to these recount and these elections. And now, I say unsurprisingly, because CARICOM did not tell them what they want, now CARICOM report is being criticized. I must tell you, it doesn't matter who you are in this world, unless you are willing to say APNU AFC won these elections, your voice is not good, your entire history is no good. You're a crook, you're a criminal, you're everything, unless you are willing to say APNU AFC has won these elections. And you know what? The truth is they have lost these elections, and they are trying to derail at every step of the way. They're trying to derail the will of the electorate. They're trying to ensure that now to force the chairman to annul these elections as a backdoor means of staying in power.
Absolutely, dear, and thank you for that, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. 226-7453. You could call us. I think there's a call in line. Good afternoon, caller. You're in the air. Yes, good afternoon, caller.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
It's amazing that 72 years ago, our people were oppressed by the colonial people, and 5 of them lost their life from Enmore. It's amazing, 72 years later, our own people want to oppress half of the Guyanese people, or just over half. It is amazing that sometimes when you ask yourself, where have we gone or come as a country? You know? And I mean, I want to say kudos to you guys, because you guys are saying this for the longest while. And as I speak to you, Leonard, I still, until it's up, until that word comes out of our mouth, then I will believe the chairman does the right. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. And on a lighter note, I hear you say something, but then more. Did you grow up that side?
Yes, I have family there. It's a beautiful area. I like it.
Oh, yes. I grew up there. I grew up in Largood area.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice place. I still go there very often. Very, very often I go up there and more. Anyhow, gentlemen, keep up. I hope this thing come over with quick. You know why? Because you guys need a real family week with your family. I know both of you have got family. For their sake, I hope this thing comes out quick. I do hope so, brothers. Keep it up, though. Guyana will remember you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear sir. I'm not going to say something I want to say about Yog. I'm going to keep that for another day because we have other business here, Yog. But some good history there. The caller did point out that we can't forget our history 72 years ago. What our families, the Lalabajis, and so it was something that we learned in common entrance. Who were the 5 and more martyrs that is left stuck in our brains there. Every year, June the 16th, we celebrate that. Caller online, good afternoon, caller, you on the air. Good afternoon, caller, you on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to get something straight, man. Tell me something. The election was passed. People vote already. You get me there?
Yes, we getting you clear.
People vote already. Now, why have the chairman and thing have to vote for declare another winner?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. You want us to answer you offline?
Tell me why the chairman and the commissioners them got to vote. They not already get a recount already and got a winner?
Well, it's a good question for coming from a Guyanese man who doesn't understand.
Yeah, I'm a retired master. If you have a recount, you already get the result of the recount. Why you gotta ask the commissioner them and the sitting lady have to give us the decision right away because there is a recount.
Good question. We're gonna answer you. We're gonna answer you off here, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. Before you answer that, I got a question to ask you. Have you been keeping a running check? Let me repeat that to you, sir. Have you been keeping a running check as to the number of voting that have taken place since March 2nd?
Well, but look, the caller is absolutely spot on. These elections were held. We know who won. Every week we have some new drama being made out, some new thing being said, all with an aim of the APNU AFC staying in power, stealing power, wanting to remain in power. They don't want to give up power. Yes, indeed, the caller is right. You know the numbers. There shouldn't even be a vote. The declaration should have been automatic. You know, the declaration should have been a matter of automation that the CEO presents his report. Who would have thought? Who would have thought Lowenfield would do what he did? Who would have thought that Mingo would have done what he did? Who would have thought that they would have gone to the CCJ to be scolded and to be reminded that 33 is greater than 32? But you know what? I mean, are we ever going to be surprised with anything? This lovely country of ours has become a laughing stock of the entire world. Laughing stock of the entire world because we don't know to do math. And now we obviously cannot comprehend English. We obviously cannot comprehend a simple CARICOM report. And we are questioning. You know, Leonard, when I did my doctorate degree, and ask any student who is doing their master's or doing their dissertation or thesis, and they will tell you what statistical sampling is. And to see some so-called educated people starting to question that, oh, CARICOM only supervised 18% of the boxes, that is nonsense. CARICOM was here for 100% of the recount. They were here for the entire recount. They chose at random what boxes, what workstations, what areas to spend there. There were only 3 of them, and they had to cover all of this. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is APNU AFC that stopped all the international observers from coming in this country. So you stop them, you put your fingers, you stop them. Now you're saying that, oh, well, there only 3 of them and they could not have looked at everyone. Well, they did. They chose random sampling, and in any, you take Guyana voting population size, Leonard, 7%, 8% is an acceptable percentile with a 95% confidence level. So we have to debunk some of these things. And sometimes you have to question. Look, let me share something else with you, Leonard. Owen Arthur, Ralph Gonzalez, very soon you will see all the attacks against Maya Motley. Everybody that brought out a statement, very quickly they say they're Jagdeo's friends. Oh God, Jagdeo seems to be friends with everybody in this world except Leonard and Yog. Well, and it seems like Mr. Granger has no friend, none at all, that can call and say so. So it's mind-boggling. This morning, I'm listening to a gentleman who said that, oh, is the PPP paid Mercury $34 million, and so Mercury bought out Ralph Gonzalez, and Mercury bought out Leonard, and Mercury bought out everybody, and that Mercury bought out the CARICOM Observer team too. Well, hear what? People keep forgetting conveniently that APNU AFC contracted JJB LLC for $90-odd million. If people want a copy of that contract, I can share it. It is there. Go on US Gov website and you will find the contracts there. You will find the documents there. So Leonard, all of this smoke that is being thrown is literally because they want to do anything to stay in power. No two ways about it.
Thank you very much there, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, joining us now, Elections COVID-19 Watch on the Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5. We continue to apologize for the technical issues we're having. That's because we have a temporary internet fix here because the entire area, including Kaieteur News and Stabrook News, is down in terms of internet. That's because GT&T has decided today of all day to do maintenance work. Yes, you heard it right. There's another caller online. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
You know, I fed up with this thing with this election. Every day is a different thing. Big people going to keep meeting every day. They're going to keep meeting. It's best we hire some nursery children for go to the GECOM and keep meeting. Because big talented people going and keep meeting and no meeting. But I give him Mr. Granger up to Friday. If he can't give up my mother from England, the Queen coming and take back this country.
So should I call you Prince?
Yes. You need to call me that because it seems like we ain't get right 72-year 5-man dead because of slavery and this and that. And now we're coming back to these things them in this 72 years. Nonsense, man. I need my mother to come back here.
I thank you very much for that. Any other comments, sir? I think the caller's gone. Yog, growing frustration. People are getting tired. People are saying it. This thing is dragging, turns and twists. When will it end? Do you know when it will end, Yog?
I am certainly hoping, and Leonard, please, I want to just say this. Ladies and gentlemen, APNU AFC does not represent one race in this country. PPPC do not and does not represent one race in this country. There are people from all the races that are members of all of these political parties. Let us not make this thing as a race thing. Please desist from those kinds of thinking and those kinds of comments. It is a matter of power. It's a matter of people want to stay in power. And across the world and around the world, you look, there are countries in Asia, there are countries in the Caribbean, there are countries all over where people just usurped power and they want to stay in power. Race has nothing to do with it. It's a matter of people wanting power and refusing to give up power. So let us put our perspectives in order and don't make it a race something. The truth is, the will of the electorate has to be followed, and the electorate has spoken. And Leonard, the one group of observers that Mr. Granger agreed to has said these elections are credible. The one person that Mr. Granger agreed to chair commission, will in a matter of minutes have her say in the boardroom of GECOM. And I hope that he's ready to accept that when it happens.
Thank you very much there. And let me go a little further with regards to Yog and what he says with remarks and commentaries on our Kaieteur Radio Facebook Live. We are being monitored by the Guyana National Broadcasting Authority and, of course, by other extension, other authorities. We'd ask you to desist from that. We're going to block you. We're going to delete your comment. We're going to block you. And that is going to be that. And, of course, we're going to call your names too. So even if you use one of those Facebook trolling names, fake or whatever it is, there's no place in this Kaieteur News, Kaieteur Radio. We don't have a political party. We don't have any constituency. We cater for all Guyana, from all races, all parties. So let's make that very clear. Those are the ground rules. Yog, there's a growing intolerance for any kind of racist remarks here. And if you're going to be very insulting, there are lots of women who have been joining us, lots of good people of Guyana, decent people who want to make this country into a better place. They want to be part of the conversation. We want to encourage that. We are going to provide the platform how long I'm here, and I presume that is the same platform that you want to be on. We are going to facilitate it. That's not going to change. That has been the mandate that I've been given, and nothing will change. We're going to ask all and sundry to come on to be part of this this argument, this conversation that all Guyanans should be having. I'm not sure, Yog, after this would have been, this is going to be over. It has to be over. We cannot tolerate it. What then? Where do we go from here, Yog?
Leonard, the Guyanese people are learning a very, very costly lesson. This lesson of 2020 that each man, woman, and child is now learning will last for generations. APNO AFC has not realized that what it's doing here is not only just staying in power illegally, but it's damaging the psyche of a future nation of Guyana. When the old people are all gone, our children will inherit this. As I said before, Leonard, in the 1980s, the 1980s people who are adult or an older generation now, you know, their children would not have known what it meant. And none of the young people presently would know what it meant when people were talking about rigging of elections in the 1970s up to 1985. None of them would know. And none would probably know what it means when we talk about you had to fetch buckets of water on your head for miles. You had to pull drums of potable water for miles in order for you to get water to drink, to bathe, to brush teeth, and do cooking. So those things have existed then. What has happened in 2020 is the APNO AFC has reminded a brand new generation of election rigging, of what their parents would have been talking to them about. Whether our tolerance is getting low, Leonard, as a people, we have to band it together and we have to do whatever it takes in terms of legitimately, whether we got to go to the courts, whether we have to exercise our franchise as voters whenever that opportunity comes up again. That's where we have a voice. And what people has to do is to continue speaking out. And I wish to caution, speak out respectfully, speak out within the confines of the law, and speak out without hate, without intent to harm. That way, we're all speaking out and we're all speaking the same thing with the same intent.
Within the law, Yog. So there's a call online. Good afternoon, caller, you're on the air. Yes, good afternoon, caller, you're on the air.
Good afternoon to Yog and Leonard.
Good afternoon.
Listening to your program and enjoying your content.
Thank you.
Just to echo what your prior callers would have said on air. You know, it's 100 and something odd days, and this entire country has been placed in a situation where we don't know what's going to happen in the imminent future. We're tired, we're frustrated. There are people who are punishing, there are children who are punishing. If you cannot open your eyes to see that, then something is definitely wrong with you. And to have us here sitting, waiting, anticipating, hoping that something positive comes out of this. We have a group of people who have decided to take this entire country as hostage. And we have to sit and enjoy this, and then there's some calling for a fresh election. Tell me, where are we going to get this additional $8 billion to hold another election? So you're trying to say that all of that money could go down the drain while we have persons here sitting, waiting, anticipating hope, and then we just flush all of that down the drain, throw everything out the window, and those people still hold on to power. What are we doing? What are we doing? It's frustrating. It's getting to people. People are getting agitated. People are fed up. We need answers, and we need them now. I just wanted to say I'm very happy that you all have that program that you have every day, and you know, it's at least you give us some sort of hope to keep us calm. I know Yog has always comes up with his positive quotes and so on, but I mean, there's a limit to that as well. Persons are just fed up. For once, there's nothing else better to say. We're fed up.
Yes. So thank you very much, dear. That caller there has brought some things into perspective. Yog, and yes, we have said it and we are going to say it again. People are getting really frustrated. People are getting tired. We've been beaten all over our bodies into submission. And it has been 106 days since that March 2nd elections. And I don't think there's any much more that the people can continue. And we call in, I think they're calling on the authorities, on the coalition, on the People's Progressive Party, Civic, on the opposition, to find a way to bring this to an end pretty quickly. The international community has stepped down in as much as they can do, diplomatically and otherwise, with regards to saying what they had to say, sending the message, talking with sanctions. I could remember a couple of weeks back, I think it's the EU ambassador would have been here on this the same show, Yog, and he would have said it. He spoke about what could happen. We would have had Sir Ron Sanders, the former, we would have had the former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Mr. Mitchell. We would have had statements coming out from Mia Motley, from Keith Rowley, and it goes on and on. We've lost count to the number of statements that would have come out warning Guyana not to walk the road that we walk in. And so we are 105 days from March the 2nd elections, and we can't get our act together. It is becoming very frustrating. In the meantime, things that we need to be fixing, like GT&T, for instance, and I'm going to be very critical in the coming days of what has been coming to us. We have started the process before 2015 for the liberalization of the telecoms industry so we could allow other people to enter it. And because of elections and other things, our attention since December the 21st, 2018 has been on elections, has been on the Constitution. We can't pay attention to our gold, our oil, our telecoms liberalization. Yog, this is not good for the country. It is not good. Our country is at a standstill. We're going backwards, and we've been hit on the other side by COVID-19. I can't say it enough, and I don't think people understand what is happening to our country at the moment. And of course, we're talking right now about what is happening to the monies in the kitty jar. in the kitty jar.
Correct. And remember, David Granger himself 2 days ago said that while he's not running on empty, but they're running on very, very, very low funds. And he was hoping, or he's thinking, that if elections are annulled, then he would have to continue in office and he will have to get the other political parties to agree. In other words, for him to continue in office, he would have to continue the last parliament, because remember, if no declaration is made and you don't have a new parliament, you would have to have a reconvening of the last parliament. So there are lots of permutations one could draw. At the end of the day, though, I think you and I would have spoken, I wish to repeat, we have spoken to a lot of illegal minds who have all insisted that it's only the courts that can annul an elections. GECOM chairman is not guided. There's no law that allows her or gives her the leeway to not make a declaration. I think Mr. Alexander and team, they want GECOM to use that same section that allowed GECOM to create this recount order. They want to use that same section that GECOM can go and do a further order to say so under that section. But that section was for a declaration, not for an annulment, or that section allows GECOM to extend its powers so that an election can be completed, not so that you can call off an election and say, and you know, Leonard, at the end of the day, if this chairman makes any other decision other than making a declaration, it means they're all admitting that they failed this country. It means, look, Lowenfield's report, I said it yesterday, I'm going to repeat it. Lowenfield's report, by saying that the result that there were irregularities, he has thrown all of the agents, all of the returning officers, district office, deputy officers, all of them under the bus. He has said they're all crooks. Lowenfield is saying all of the agents and polling clerks are crooks. So you have, on one hand, you have criminalized an entire population. On the other hand, you are now saying that, okay, because we believe there are allegations, we want to stay in power because of allegations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many allegations of corruption of this current government. So there's allegations on both sides. You're corrupt, get out of office. What choice do we have, people would ask? Well, the choice has been made. Elections have been held and APNU AFC has lost power.
Well, that's where we at. I'm thinking here now, how did we get our priorities all mixed up and put what should be important to the back burner? There's another caller online. Good afternoon, caller, you in the air.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to say that I'm tired and fed up, but I'm too positive to go down that road. I also want to say that I would agree with you guys and say that this product thing will do the right thing, but I am already on record as saying that I know what she wouldn't do. My question is beyond what all of them are saying. Given the fact that the whole international community is saying one thing, given the fact that we have COVID-19, given the fact that all the international community that normally helps us are struggling themselves, and we are going against them, let's say that we go to this next election, how do we know the dead is not going to wake up again and vote? How do we know the migrants are not going to vote? How do we know all of the observers will not be bought again, AA polling agents? How do we know that GECOM staff will be critical again? It does not make sense making such a statement from anybody, and that's why I got a problem with people in cycles. I don't use cycles and I have them. I have a problem with them because you operate from a position of self-centeredness. When you take this whole picture into consideration, can Guyana handle another election at this moment? Is it good for the Guyanese people? And finally, all I want to say, oh my Guyanese brothers and sisters, we got to come to a place where we got to let these politicians know that they can't pull our strings. We got to love our neighbors. We live next to each other. Love us, be with us, and whatever they are calling for, we are not calling for. We call it for love, peace, understanding, and prosperity in our nation. And if our leaders is not there, then they got to go until somebody comes who can do that. We're not going to fight each other. We're not going to war with each other. And the few that are doing that, if we know them, we go and talk to them and say, stop it. This is time for love. One people, one nation, one destiny. If your politicians don't have it, let us show them what one people, one nation, one destiny means. Thank you very much.
Very solid from that caller there. Thank you very much. And you know what's so sad about this? One would have thought that the head of the household, the Guyana household, would be the one calling the shots and guiding the house into what should be the future, how the kids go to school. Let us start planning for a scholarship fund for the family. Let's put aside some money and things like that. What you have here is the people of Guyana, which is a good thing because you're empowering the people, that they're actually telling you that this is what we want from you. But there's no leadership in the house. The leaders have gone on vacation and left our people all alone, our little children all alone in the house, and the bandits are now knocking on the door, and the windows doesn't have any bars in it. I don't know how to put it in any other way except that leadership is not there, Yog. Leadership is definitely not there.
Well, Leonard, you mentioned the word bandits. If the leadership is all focused on stealing power at any cost, then tell me who is the bandit. But don't answer on air. I just want to share this with viewers and listeners. I'm going to say it without any translation or interpretation. But Mr. David Granger would have said that Ministry of Finance announced that they are making money available for Gaisuku's assistance this week. And I'm hoping this week means this current week, today being already almost the middle of the Tuesday already. So they seem to be talking about making some financial help for Gaisuku. Talking about Gaisuku, Leonard, I certainly hope that the new government of this country will do a thorough investigation. I think if they don't, then you guys from this from the news media need to do a thorough investigation as to where all the monies for Gaisuku went. 17 of the $30-odd million that they had as the loan was spent. We need to check where it went, who got it, what was it spent on. All of those information, I believe, is why people don't want to lose power. But the truth has to come out one day.
Well, let me tell you, I could tell you from a newspaper perspective, that based on the little investigations that were done by reporters and so on, if you go to the procurement side of things for Gaisuku, you would be very shocked to know, and that's something I'm not sure who audits Gaisuku, whether there's any attention being paid, but there's a lot of money being spent on procurement. They're going to tell you that they have, I think it was over $2 billion that they use the word backlog in a recent statement that was issued, and backlog payments to suppliers. If you find out who are the suppliers and how they go about doing business with these suppliers without proper procurement procedures being followed, it's going to tell a tale of overspending, of a system all gone wrong while they're dependent on the people of Guyana to plug them out. It's the same thing they used to go on with questions that were asked years back. Where were these money going? And then you find a bunch of money went into unions and so on, lots of millions of dollars. So Gaisuku, at the end of the day, while I agree somewhat with this coalition, with what they would have done, starting the moves to address the issues of Gaisuku, could not agree with the speed of putting people out of work. I think that was one of the major issues that they saw without giving them some kind of alternatives. But if you go to Gaisuku in itself with the spendings and you check for a price, if you buy a tractor for $5 million or it's supposed to buy it for that, and you pay $8 million, then you start having a true picture of what's happening. We know what are some of the things, and then of course you have a lot of facilities of Gaisuku. You'd have the pool area and so on. And when you see the kind of people that would go there and the kind of drinks and what Gaisuku is paying for, and say that it's a priority, leaving the workers, them struggling for maybe $2 more on a particular shift that they're working on. it tells a very, very sad tale, a very shocking tale of a few people in Gaisuko's leadership. And they could bring it on. You want to bring it on? We could bring it on. And we could talk about what is happening there at Gaisuko there. Yog, it's about time that people really wake up and start saying it what it is. And the People's Progressive Party, Civic, has to be blamed as well as GAU for a long time for allowing these things to happen, because a few management people who were in there and still remains in there because they turned a blind eye. Everybody benefiting from maybe a car, a house, something they're benefiting from. And it is what it is, but we used to be blamed because we turned a blind eye. And so it's become a vacuum that sucked a lot of money out of the treasury. We used to hear every couple of months a couple $1 billion going there, but you want to hear $2 billion that went into suppliers that they're waiting for money. Find out how that money went and whether it went to any proper procurement procedures. Maybe it's going to tell a tale. But let us see. If you want to disprove us, let us come to the table and let us see. Gaisuko needs to account for some of the things that it did. So there's another call online. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Yog.
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Leonard, I just want to
There's a caller, Yog. Just on
Go ahead with the call.
Yes, go ahead, caller. You're in the air.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
I would just like to take this opportunity to call on Mr. Granger, Mr. Harman, Brother Lawrence, people in field, Alexander and others, to stop playing games with the future of this country and stop playing games with my children's future. These people get on public television and airways and say that they have this country at heart. They have this nation at heart. And God knows it. All they have at heart is their selfish way. They care nothing about this nation. You want to tell me everybody around the world is in bed with the PPP? And I must make this clear, I'm not from a political party, I'm a Guyanese. Everybody around the world is in bed with the PPP. Everybody around the world is lying. My God, these people just need to do the manly thing, hand over power, get themselves in order, and come back the next 5 years. Come back the next 5 years. And try again. We are tired of this as Guyanese, man. We're tired of it. Come on, man.
All right.
This is not about the AFC and PNC. I grew up in the PNC time and I know what it is. I had the 23 years under the PPP and I know what it is.
All right. And
we need to get this over with. It's hurting me as a Guyanese. It's hurting me as a Guyanese, man. I'm struggling to put food on the table for my children because of these people and their nonsense in this country. Come on, man. Granger, these guys all there are a bunch of selfish people. That is my contribution.
I thank you very much, dear caller. Yog, you could feel the pain in that caller's voice. People are really, really struggling. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of frustration at our leaders, at what is happening here. And we can't say that there's one side that it should be directed to. It should be at all our leaders, our people who are there for allowing a situation to come to this in 2020, when we should be all looking at fighting to see which is the next best consultant that we should be hiring to move our oil industry and the oil sector forward, Yog. So these are things that are we should be paying attention to. But there's a lot of pain in that gentleman's voice. I could feel it. Yog, over to you, Gaisuko.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. We are having some issues, Yog, with the internet. I ask our people to forgive us for that. There's nothing we could do. All the internet in this area is down. All the media houses, Kaieteur News and Definitely Starbuck News is down. Guys, GT&T has decided to do some work today of all the, God bless them, but we're out of that. So over to you with regards to Gaisuko, Yog.
Yeah, well, Gaisuko will certainly have to be investigated. And, remember we had a COI, we must remember that there was a commission of inquiry into the performance of Gaisuko, and the commission of inquiry recommended that the industry be not closed down, that they do not shut down the industry. However, against the recommendation of their own experts, Gaisuko ended up being chopped into bits and pieces to suit the person's egos there, I guess. But Leonard, the other thing that I want to quickly mention, APNO AFC, and I wish to call them out in this regard, Leonard. APNO AFC has been attacking Gonzalez, they have been attacking Owen Arthur, they have been attacking the people, the congressmen, the senators and so forth who have spoken out from the United States. And they attack them with one resounding thing. They have said that mercury. It seems like APNO SC only knows two words, mercury and Jagdeo. Those are the only two things coming out of their mouths. That being said, though, Leonard, it is no joke that APNO FC has not realized what hole they're digging for themselves. So this morning or yesterday, you had a congresswoman who spoke out from US against the so-called foreign leaders who are attacking, these are their words, attacking Guyana. And she asked people to stop doing that. Now, the question you have to ask, if you are saying everybody who spoke out against APNO AFC was Mercury, then it means this lady is part of the lobbying from JJ and BLLC. Mm-hmm. So would they want to accept that? I'm sure they wouldn't, but people are logical in the country. In this country of ours, one thing we know is that the majority of the people are not drinking Kool-Aid. They're thinking for themselves. We are emotional. Everybody's emotional because of the stresses, but people are reading through it, Leonard. You can't have it both ways. You got to decide which path you want to follow and stick to it.
Yes, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, if you're not joining us, elections COVID-19 watch here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5. We are experiencing some technical difficulties, so you're not probably going to get us in Berbice, but you're going to get us across the coastlands. And I want to say good day to you and thank you for your patience. There's another caller online. Good afternoon, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Now, listening to the three GECOM commissioners this afternoon, right? And basically what he's saying, we had an election March 2nd. 105 days after, $8 billion plus later, we had two accounts that show one party got over 50,000 votes, and a recount showing the same margin of figure, very close, and they're saying we head into a new election. That is actually what he's saying. I don't know if these people are in their right mind, right? But prepare for the worst in this country. That's what I see. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hear that caller there, and we have to say that our people are mature people. And while there are fears, we don't believe that we will descend into that. However, Yog, do you believe that we should be preparing for the worst?
Well, look, APNO FC has shown one thing for sure. That other than you saying they have won, they don't want to hear anything, they don't want to talk about anything. All of a sudden, I found it was strange, very strange, that people like Joe Singh are being attacked. Everybody's being attacked. As soon as you say something, you're being attacked. That is, as soon as you say something against them. Now, if you were to say, Mr. Gildarie, if you were to say you believe APNO FC has won, you would suddenly probably, come in for a lot of kudos from a handful of people. But the truth is that the caller has a point. People are frustrated. And, whether you have to prepare for the worst, I don't know what worst means. One would have thought with each passing week we are seeing the worst of some people. But it seems to get worse every day. Look, I still would want to be positive. We got another hour for some announcement. Maybe we'll break transmission if there is anything coming in to bring over that transmission. We got within an hour and we should know at least how things are shaping up at GECOM. I want to caution everyone. It doesn't mean you are going to hear a declaration today. We got to be very careful with this. What I know the GECOM chairman has to decide on is whether she is going to receive reports on these recounts or what's her position on it. I think that's what they're contemplating on. But as we stand here, ladies and gentlemen, long time gone, as we the saying Creole, long time gone, short time left. Let's be positive and hope and pray that Claudette Singh stays in her positive and blissful state of frame of mind so that she can make the right decision.
Be patient. That's what we're saying to people. Be very patient. We've gone through it. It's 105, 106 days thereabouts. We have waited. We know that it's getting frustrating, but let us be a little more patient. It is going to happen. In terms of a decision has to be made, and so let us wait a little more. There's another caller online. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I just want to make this point, and I'm trying to be positive.
Yes, sir.
I would like to recognize and thank, and one of the positives I got out of this is Shakim Ade, Kamal King, those guys from the newsroom, I can't remember the name, Rhonda Lamb, even Leonard Schumann, everybody has their own flair and their own style. But one of the things I'd like to recognize as a nation is that we have people who are independent-minded and who are not going to just take what anybody says. All of these people that I'm talking about have not shown a side to any party. Two of them are their own party. But they showed any government, this one or the one will win or anybody coming, that there are people in this nation that will stand up and stand up for what is right. And I just want to thank those people and big up Guyana. And there's a lot more of us in this country who will stand for what's right and tell them to keep up the good fight. Don't be discouraged. Don't care what names people call you. The reason you're getting called names is because you're hurting somebody. And the truth always hurts. So I just want to big them up once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear sir. And the encouragements are most welcome. I think we all need it, and our people lift your spirits up a little. We have gone through a lot over the years. We have gone through the 2000s with the crime wave. We've gone through so many things. The older folks will remember what Yog would have said, freshen buckets on the head to bring potable water to your home. If the water cut off, you go to the trench and you bring it. I remember as a 6-year-old boy up in Enmore going to the sideline dam there, and you had 2 saucepans in the hand, and you bringing it, paint pans they call them, and you bringing it to the water, and you could barely, and you come home and your hand filled with marks and so on, but it was all part of growing up. But we would have built a resilience from their Yog, that we probably tell ourselves that this is something that we don't want to see our children experience back again, although it taught us some very valuable lessons. We are in a better place. We want to see a better life. We want to move on to the next good thing that comes. So let us continue to be of good cheer.
Leonard, what we have also, some of the things we have learned over the past 105 days is obviously we have learned that no matter how much you trust that a number of persons will do and act in accordance with the law and do what's right, you learn who these people are. Some of the people who stood up under the banners of integrity and honesty and all of that, you have seen over this past week or two, you have seen really their own definition of integrity and honesty. So a lot of lessons the Guyanese people have learned over these elections, and certainly it's an eye-opener. And I think if it's one thing, I thank that caller for his messages. And it's one thing, Guyanese are not going to hear and allow the politicians to be lords and masters over us. Those days are gone.
Yes, Yog, and there's another side too. I guess maybe I'm not going to be in the media forever, but this year is going to be a very special year for me, because I would have met, even though not physically, but maybe over the phone, maybe online, some very warm people. We have wonderful people in Guyana here, Yog, and that's a very good thing. And they really care about this country. They want to see a better Guyana. They want to see where people do well. They want to see the standard of life be lifted, so our spirits could be lifted. There's another caller online. Yes, good afternoon, caller. You're in the air. Yes, good afternoon, caller. You're in the air. I think we lost that. Our apologies. So if you're not joining us, let us tell you what is happening with regards to the elections recount. Today, or starting yesterday rather, the Guyana Elections Commission, the 6 commissioners, as well as the chairperson, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, would have been meeting on that very critical report from Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield to consider it and come to a declarations point. As of this afternoon, we would have learned by around midday today that the Guyana Elections Commission has taken a break. That is because there is a proposal on the table by the coalition commissioners, 3 of them, for the entire elections to be to hold fresh elections. And so at 3:30 in a few moments, GECOM, the commissioners, are going to meet again, and they're going to make a decision on this proposal, most likely a motion. They're going to vote on it as to how to deal with the entire issue. It was widely expected. It was widely expected that such a motion would have come. It was based on the statements that would have been coming out from the coalition as well as from commissioners, that there was enough evidence that would have been coming out from March 2nd from the recount that suggests that all is not right, and therefore the entire elections, you can't call it, you can't make a declaration. However, everybody, including the opposition, as well as local and international observers and other stakeholders, including the ABC and EU countries, have come out and says that nothing was wrong. The recount is a reflection of the results that they would have seen following elections day. And so the coalition is under pressure right now to basically admit, to commit themselves to taking the recount, the results of the recount. So that's where we are at almost 3:30 in the afternoon on June the 16th. And we also, I must point out to you, celebrate or observing today the Enmore Martyrs, that every year we'd be up in Enmore there to lay a wreath at the monument that is there. They would have died years back, 72 years ago, while standing up for the rights of workers. So Yog, lots of things to think about, to reflect on as a people of this country. Where do we go from here? How do we build on the strength, the experiences of elections 2020? Some very deep moments, some very strange times for me too, because I'm in uncharted waters here, trying to maneuver, trying to understand what is happening, so people could have an understanding too, and so we could remain calm and think of it through, so we can make the right decisions or pressure our people that represent us to make those decisions. Over to you, Yog.
Correct. You are right. Hey, Leonard, I just want to throw this at you and Josh and Kevin and so forth. You know, look, here is a positive. The longer these elections go on, the longer you will have to have elections watched. But jokes aside, I mean, like our viewers and listeners, we are tired. It's everyone in this country. It has been a tiring wait. It's been a long wait. And ladies and gentlemen, trust me, for us to be on these programs during the day and to be at night, we have to research, we have to talk to people. There's a lot of work involved, because you cannot come out here and say something that is incorrect. You cannot put our, the people who trust on us to give any false information or anything like that. So we have to check and double check sources and stuff. But it has been an interesting period. And yes, it has been long. But we have all learned, and we are learning, that we must move on as a nation. My worry, Leonard, is that there is a handful of persons that have divorced themselves from their brains. A number of soup drinkers that have divorced themselves from their brains, and they are the ones that will have to will be making the loudest noises in opposition. When a new government is sworn in. And so I want to remind everyone that not only must we use these 106 days as a lesson for us in terms of politics and elections, but also as a lesson for us in terms of politicians. Let us remember these politicians and what they have done to this country.
Well, I can tell you something else, a good thing that come out of it. You really, via room 592, and even this particular show, I started on a day on March the 2nd because I came into the studio. I said, what is happening? They said, no, we have to do some updates, and this is how I left stock with it. But it has really pushed me into a new realm in terms of media. You know, I just like writing. Radio is a different platform. In fact, people want to hear your voice. I always said I don't have a good voice. I don't believe I have a radio voice. But guess what? When you listen to the people and what they're saying, I think it has given me the confidence. Whether even in the room 592, because it's so deep, you actually getting into the laws and actual some really, really deep stuff there. So it's really pushed me to another level there. But I got to thank you there, Yog. I shouldn't be saying this on here, but I have to. And of course, to the wonderful viewers and listeners that we would have had here. Great people, wonderful country, this beautiful land of mine. Maybe another day I'm going to tell you this 105 days, what it has done to me and what it has made up my mind to do with regards to Guyana. That's a conversation for another day. However, today is for the people. We're gonna go to the lines. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Yes, I think we lost that. So Yog.
So Leonard, just to share this with everyone, then pertaining to your last comment there. Tonight we're gonna have Mr. Anil Nandlal.
Oh,
in
that's
room
nice.
590.
Very nice.
Yeah. Tonight we're gonna have Ms. Anand, because the same questions we are deliberating here now. What are the next steps? Where do we go from here? By tonight we will know what decisions the Claude Singh would have made as of today, of course. By tonight we'll know whether there is a tomorrow at GECOM or whether tomorrow is a declaration or a swearing in. So we will be joined, he's our sole guest, so we'll all be beating him up. Mr. Anand Nandlal in room 592. I want to share this with our viewers and listeners from the United States. Pass on the word, colleagues in the United States. If you are unable to join us directly in room 592 via the Kaieteur media, please know that you can join Kaieteur Radio on our YouTube feed, live feed. You can join our Facebook live feed. And for tonight's program, Brother Farouk Juman will also be transmitting live in New York and its environs that discussion with Mr. Anand Nandlal. So we are hoping for a hot session. He will be in the hot seat. And of course, we'll ask his patience as we take one or two of your calls as well. So that would be a very interesting discussion tonight in room 592. And certainly, Leonard, we will be looking at asking Mr. Nandlal a couple of questions with regards to his opinion on those 42 boxes of East Coast. Don't forget, he was the person in charge of his party in that area. We'll be asking all of that questions today.
Well, that's supposed to be good, and especially with this development that is happening here. Is it legal or not, this proposal? Let's assume that it is passed, because that's going to... We are in some heavily uncharted waters here, places that we've never been before. And so how do we maneuver this constitutional area that we are in? I think there are lots of questions here. So let us see what Anand has to say. With regards as we on that, we have been consistently inviting coalition people onto this program here. There are many bright ones, and I want to tell you that nobody's really taking it on. There was one that we invited a few days back, and he says, yes, I'm coming. When he asked, who's the guest? And when I told him who the guest was, he says, unfortunately, you came a little late. You came a little late. So he was willing in the first thing, and when he heard the guest, he says, I'm sorry, I was a little late in asking him. So we are trying, we want to open the lines, open the platform, open the mics to these gentlemen, ladies, for them to have their say. People need to know because they represent a very large part of Guyana's the populace. So there's another caller in here. Good afternoon, caller, you in the ear. Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, you're on the air.
Kaieteur News?
Yes, sir.
I am a fair-minded person, okay?
Yes, sir.
I don't take sides. I normally give fair comment. No, I think you all need to let the people know and stop peddling on truth. Because the amount of money that was spent is not 8 billion. That was part of that was used for house registration. I think you all need to send the right message. I don't mind you giving your comment. Everyone is entitled to his or her opinion. Okay? But give the correct.
How was it spent? You have any idea how it was spent, sir?
It is around 3-point-something billion.
Yes.
Not $8 billion for registration, for elections.
Sir, what was the registration towards? Wasn't it towards the election day? We never said that the $8 billion was spent on election day. We said it was on these elections. Elections start from preparation, include training, include everything, include a recount declaration. And that's what elections are. These elections are not over as yet.
Let the people know exactly what is what.
What is what? Well, you're on the air now. We give you the air. Let us hear what is what.
Not peddle on truth.
Yes, but tell us what the truth is. You can't say don't peddle on truth and then you don't tell us the truth. What is the truth? You're on air.
Y'all are very selective.
Yes, but what is the truth? We giving you the air. You have the air. Go ahead and do it. Say it.
I'm saying that the 8 billion was not used on election.
So where was it used? If you may correct us, you're on air.
Oh, it's the house registration that was stopped.
Well, we never said it was used on elections day. We said it was used for the elections.
Yeah, you're trying to run away from what you said.
Run away from what? You're the one that is on here that is saying that we're saying on truth. I'm saying what we did.
I was listening to you all whole morning. Good afternoon, right?
Right, so what is the correct thing? You're saying that what else was it used for? We said it's for the election. Yog said that it's for the election. We didn't say elections day.
Anyhow,
is there any other thing that you want to say to the people of Guyana, sir?
What I like to say is that you people at Kaieteur News, I don't know if you have a good memory. When Jagdeo was in power,
yes, sir.
He used to bash Leonard, bash him.
Yes, sir.
Now that I don't know if he's promised something, but he suddenly seemed to be leaning towards the DVP.
Let me answer you there right now. Let me answer you right now. Kaieteur News does not have a constituency. It does not have a party. It does not have a dog in the race. In 2015 or prior to 2015, we investigated Jagdeo. In 2020, we had to do our job with our mandate to continue to report to the people. Nothing is going to change. We told Air Finale to expect that when he gets in there, if he gets in there, that he's going to have the same treatment. Nothing is going to change. Our mandate is not a political party, sir.
Let me make another point, sir. Now, people, you all seem to be glorifying this guy, Air Finale. Let me tell you something.
Who seem to be glorifying Air Finale?
All of you.
When?
He's the best.
When, sir? When, sir? Did we do it today?
Position or whatever. If we want our new president, Air Finale.
Sir, you're out of place, and you probably listen to another radio station.
I'm not sure which radio station is listening to.
We never glorified anybody. In fact, I am the one that called them out. We have said, and I wish to remind you, and sir, all of our programs are still online. You can go back and educate yourself as to what we said and what we didn't say. And this discussion has been about the elections. Who is rigging the elections? Who is not rigging the elections? We have asked everybody the questions. And sir, I'll remind you too. Go back, check my Facebook page if you want. Check Kaieteur Radio. How critical we were of Jagdeo. What you want? Because we attacked Jagdeo, we must be silent when APNU AFC is stealing? Is that what you want?
I never said that. You're insinuating that. I'm saying be fair at all
No,
times.
that's what you are insinuating. Come on. We're calling them out, and we're calling it as we see it. And if you have no further contribution, I believe you're totally out of order.
I'm out of order? I am out of order.
Thank you very much, dear sir. Have a pleasant rest of the afternoon. So if you're now joining us, COVID-19 elections watch, and let me make it very, very clear. Kaieteur News, I've said it over and over, and I'm going to say it again. We don't endorse any political party, not a Jagdeo, not a Granger, not anybody. And that is coming straight from Glenn Lal. And if you want his number too, I'm in the mood for that. 624-6456, 624-6456. Call him on the phone and he's going to say what exactly I just said there. So the number 22674.
The caller started.
Yes, go ahead, Yog.
The caller started by saying he's fair-minded, and then end up saying that because he is fair-minded, you are not, and that's an accusation that it doesn't even, you don't, Kaieteur News or even me, we don't need to. My wife, my beautiful wife Anita, reminds me every day, you don't need to explain yourself. You have an independent mind. You're thinking and you're talking about independent things, and you're calling the politicians out, and you don't have to explain to anybody. Is he calling President Granger and asking him why he's talking about annulling these elections? I guess not. But you know what? That's not the important thing.
I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested which party sits there, which party is going to go in. I don't think that's my mandate. I don't have a bone in my body that says that, yo. And let me repeat, my job here is to moderate this show here, yo. And I'm getting a little tired with this racism thing that is coming in, that has been seeping in. If you're going to come here and you want to make your racist remarks, you're going to be blocked. You're going to be deleted. As we need to have conversation that is filled with respect. And that is how we're going to move. That's how we're going to roll. There's another caller online. Good afternoon, caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Gildarie and Yog, right?
Yes, sir.
Don't let nobody hot up here with this program. I have fly drone over Jaguars and terrorize Jaguar in your way. So don't worry, people going to spoil the show. Anyway, quickly. In Barbados, I went in Barbados when I had to lose the elections. Here we tell the people when he lose the election. He said the people of Barbados have spoken, and he stepped out the saddle quickly. Gerry Gouveia. Now, Gerry Gouveia, I hear you speaking about integrity, and we shouldn't worry about constitution, but people should just do the right thing about constitution. But the thing about constitutional change in this country, what we sticking to, and what my friend Yog Mahadeo eating a banana is the law. We can't dodge from the law. What Anina and the law come in and speak about is the law. And anybody ask me a question, I can't answer them because I don't know the law. So we need constitutional change so we could push people and hold them to the law. Secondly, the court, not only with the court system, I know this for a fact. I mean, I think Yog swallowing saliva at some point. Now, we can't run from one of the things that this government gone wrong, because this stupidness that we in should not have been. They should have already been over. But one of the things they're scared of, they know the other side got great influence in the court. We have seen it, and they know they ain't going to start putting them in jail. When they get down to business and they do their work, and it could prove that corruption signaling directly to them, they was a part of the conspiracy in terms of this whole thing. Because you ain't gonna play putting them in prison, you throw them in prison. Now the other day, my friend Yog again speak about Sidney James. Now, how could you set up a place to investigate corruption? And when you deal with it, when you investigate the organization, this is one of the central corruption they built to deal with corruption. The person that running the entity should have been in prison. But one of the things I don't want my friend Yog run from is that they know that the next fence ain't going to play and put them in prison. So whatever circle they're going in, there is the central concern. And the next thing, they ain't going to got no violence in this country. I put me here in a block. People, Guyanese ain't interested in those. What Guyanese interested in is this political thing over and getting on with the business. But I'm telling you, they might go one and two who want to see that and who wanted to strike it, but they ain't going to be wrong in this place. We're not about this stupidness. We grow past that and we want this country move on. But the last call about penalizing Kaieteur, they don't really got no history upon Kaieteur. Kaieteur terrorized the PDP government. And if now you are in the saddle to tell them this is maturity, this is democracy, this is a different time we're living in. We must respect each other and respect each other's view. I may like a particular party. I would like to see the government back in office, but once finally them back in, life goes on. You gotta respect people. You can't penalize nobody. A lot of people just jump up. They're just jumping up now and saying, well, X, Y, and Z, but they already got no facts. They live in Guyana, and I think that they should know clearly the amount of things that, like the other day, I speak about England had terrorized the building up in Borby, the $69 million NIS. Guyana play when he terrorizes, when he uproot the whole thing. Even in the same guys who Kaieteur News went up, down with excavator, all kind of thing, and penalizing Kaieteur Radio. They don't know, they don't really pay attention to Kaieteur Radio and Kaieteur Radio and Kaieteur papers. From the time Leonard and after, if you remember old story, one of the drivers went into breakdown and get a license and pay for the license. When he finished paying for the license, Leonard published the old story. So don't worry with these people, allow them to hurt you here and distract you. You need to keep up on track, keeping these people accountable. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, dear caller. And let me tell you this, nothing is going to change. Whether this government, next government, whatever it is, Kaieteur News is very clear in its mandate. And like I said before, if anybody wants Glenland number, 624-6456, I've been asked to give it to you people. Call him and you could talk to him. And if you got any question as to the role Kaieteur News play in Guyana or which direction you believe, or whatever comments you want to raise with Glendale, you're free to do that. He's a free man. He never turns his phone off. So have a good afternoon on that. Yog, we are going to take a couple more calls. But before we do that, room 592, you said this evening is going to be Anand. We would love to invite, in fact, we are going to invite anybody else who want to come from the other side, from the coalition side. I would love to have a beautiful debate this evening on the way forward for this country, on the legality of what has been put, that proposal that has been put on all the elections before the Guyana Elections Commission. As we speak here now, I think the GECOM, the commissioners would have reconvened for that deliberations or a decision on the proposal that is before them to annul the elections. So that meeting is currently ongoing at the Guyana Elections Commission in Kingston there. So we head straight to the line. Yog, 226-7453, 226-7453. Let us hear what our people have to say to the people of Guyana. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. Just to make a point, and let's take the caller before that one. I am tired of people making foolish statements and talking crap. I am a person. I am not Leonard. I am not Kaieteur News or Kaieteur. I am a person that I keep telling y'all I'm a security guard. If I tell you my education, you'd wonder what I'm doing as a security guard. I am in Kaieteur News archives, Kaieteur Sabbath News archives. I was at City Hall with Larry Alexander, if you remember him, was alive, against Javio, against the PPP. I protested against this government, and it was in Sabbath News, against the pay raise. I am a person who stands up and does that and does it, and I pay the price for it. And there's nobody can tell me that I could only criticize Javio, I can't criticize somebody wrong. I do not like Mr. Javio. I do not like Mr. Granger, but I like right and I like wrong. And people got to stop this stupidness. Kaieteur News, you know the price cash. You know, so if people remember that man when they get killed under the PPP government in the printing room, there's no loyalty there in terms of political party from this newspaper, and certainly not from me. And I'm tired of people doing Guyanese. Remember, go into the archives, we got the internet now, box back and see what Kaieteur News did and Kaieteur Radio and what many people have done. Thank you, man. I'm just upset about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the story here is not about Kaieteur News, neither Gildarie, neither about Yog Mahadeo. It's about the people of Guyana. So we are going to go to the line again. We want to hear from the people of Guyana. Good afternoon, caller. You on the air?
Right, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Yog also.
Yes, sir.
You know, this 5 days since this election, 106 whatever it is. You know what I am worried about and who I'm worried about and who I'm sorry about? I'm sorry for these people that wanted a change. They see what a change is. The old people have a saying, cherish what you have. Accept what you have, cherish what you have. You miss it till it's gone. So this, to my fellow Guyanese who wanted a change, I can tell you something. I born in a PPP house. I grew up in a PPP house, and I know how life was simple, easy, and what I achieved under the PPP. And I know what life become under the afternoon. So I don't care if anybody want to tell me that I born in the cup, and I tell you I'm going to die in the cup. And for all my brothers who wanted a change, this is what change look like. Live with it now. Take it.
Thank you very much, dear caller. Yog, and so it is the next couple of days going to be very critical. I think, Yog, we have to start looking at results watch here now, and we also have to start really paying a lot of attention. I know that you've been talking about it on the way forward for this country, the way forward for this country. I did ask, you remember on Friday we would have had Irfan Ali as a presidential candidate for the People's Progressive Party here. And I think one of the observations that we made to him is that you have a populace that is not going to be that very forgiving. And I think there's not going to be any honeymoon if he's sworn in as president. Expect the going to be rough, because the people of Guyana, they have high expectations of the administration that comes in, because they're going to be charged with not only monitoring and managing our oil industry, but to pull this country back and to heal the deep divisions that would have come about because of elections on March 2nd. I want to maybe draw you out on that, Yog, a couple minutes pretty quickly on how do we go forward from here.
We have to be vigilant as a people. While that last caller spoke volumes in terms of his emotions and what he feels, I would like to gently disagree. Change is good, and I certainly believe and certainly hope that the PPP, having had its years in opposition, has learned a very serious lesson. We have all seen those days when some of the PPP ministers were treating people like I hate to use the word, but were treating people so inferior, the way they talked to them, the way they dealt with people. And we have seen APNU AFC, in only after 1 year in government, they started to treat people like crap. So power does weird things to people. As a people, though, we got to realize that we must remind the politicians we are paying their salaries. We're the ones, and we're not only paying their salaries, you're paying for the car, you're paying for the maid, you're paying for the gardener, you're paying for the fuel, you're paying for the driver, you're paying for the teeth, you're paying for the injections, you're paying for everything under the sun for some of them. Therefore, we got to keep on reminding them, if I'm to pay your salary, you got to work for me, man. We are not servants for any politicians. The politicians have to be at our service. And the faster Guyanese people realize that, we would all be in a better place. Had we been of this kind of mentality for the past 2-3 years, this government would not have been doing the kind of nonsense it did. I want to ensure, Leonard, also, that the next government must be extremely transparent. I don't care about secrecy of contracts. What I care about is you not wasting the taxpayers' money. You can hide it how much you want, but the truth must come out and it must be disclosed to people. And the PPP, when it gets into government, must not behave like it's some secret thing again. No more jobs for loyalists and jobs for friends and families. It has to be made a better man with the best education. The people who are doing their work and getting themselves ready for jobs get it. You must not get a job because you are some minister's family and friend. You must get a job regardless of your race, regardless of your religion, regardless of whatever, because you deserve the job. And the people must expect that and demand that.
Absolutely, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. And I think it would be, I don't think we could ever consider that there's a winner that is going to come out from this elections of March 2nd, 2020. This will always be remembered as a dark stain in the history of this country as to how to get things wrong, how to do things wrong, and it should be in that book whenever it is being written, how to get things wrong and get it wrong in Guyana. And so, Yog, we are going to wind down now. Unfortunately, we have run out of time with regards to calls. We want to thank you for bearing with us over the last 1.5 hours, or 2 hours, I think it is. And we ask you to forgive us for the bad quality that we would have had today. That is because the Guyana Telephone and Telegraph Company has decided to do some maintenance work, and we were kicked out, as well as others, as well as Starbuck News and so on. So there's a temporary fix here, and we are working to ensure that this doesn't happen again. In the meantime, we are going to be back this evening, room 592, Unleashing the Truth. Dr. Yog Mahadeo, the helm there, and we're going to have a former Attorney General and candidate for the People's Progressive Party, Civic, Anand Lal, on that show. And of course, high on the agenda will of course be a discussion on not only that proposal for fresh elections that GECOM would be looking into at the moment, considering making a decision on in Kingston at the GECOM headquarters there. But we also going to look at or have a discussion on the way forward. How do we fix some of the problems? So, Yog, I want to say thank you very much for being with us, once again on Kaieteur Radio, Elections Watch here, COVID-19 Watch, and to our wonderful people in and out of Guyana. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back with you this evening. We are going to have a rebroadcast of this, I think, after maybe this evening after 9 o'clock. So you could, if you missed us or you joined us late, it is going to be here. And you could also get it somewhat on YouTube, Kaieteur Radio on YouTube. You could get us on Facebook, Kaieteur Radio on Facebook, or get us on Kaieteur News Online. And you click the radio icon there. I think we could be able to get that. What you could get a copy of this on Kaieteur Radio, YouTube, Facebook. Thank you very much, and have a pleasant rest of the afternoon. Until then.